Planet Waves, this is Starcast. I'm Eric Francis here with your update for the 24th of April, 2025. Happy birthday, Mumia Abu Jamal. Some of us still remember you. So we're in the midst of this crazy astrology right now, which is like layer upon layer upon layer leading into 2026. And this moment that we are in is really the point of entree into the like full-on stuff that I was calling the awakening and the reckoning. And trying not to be too ominous, but just a little bit enough ominous to kind of make the point that there is something big. And really, it's impossible to say just how big. And what do I mean by big? I mean kind of so big you can't really see it. You've got to be perceptive and intuitive and use some of your instincts and not basically be completely beholden to these technological forces or falling in love with them, things like that. I mean, you know, we're here, we're in the midst of it, but something is happening to us while we are here. And really, what I'm advocating for is knowing, understanding, witnessing, observing what is happening to us. That music, by the way, Dust Shuffle by Brian Eno from Music for Installations, and this is going to be all Eno here in the month of Taurus. Some collaboration of independent solo, whatever it might be, of my musical wayshower, Brian. All right, so first of all, the article today addresses the longer-term issues, the stuff I'm talking about, this whole invisible situation with AI that we are just kind of letting wash over us, and so many people are thinking, oh, but this could be so good. Yeah, just like Facebook. Like, we didn't ever need Facebook, and then we realized that it just completely changed everything, and everyone, and then Facebook became Instagram, and then Instagram became TikTok, and one thing leading to another, and the algorithms are getting better and better and better, and children and teenagers and young adults having their brains molded, their emotional resonance shaped by these forces that are so much bigger than we are, that are completely unnatural, that are algorithms written by other algorithms. And I will tell you that the first check for whether you have been swallowed by this, or whether you have basically given up your soul to this, is you think, that's pretty good. This will be cool. Oh, I kind of like 5G. I mean, and you know, what's wrong with making a picture in a computer? Yeah. So, right now I've given like a million rants about this. And I will cut this one exceedingly short so I can go back to talking about what's going on today in Pisces and what's going to be happening this weekend in Aquarius and Leo, and then what's going to be happening in Taurus, the more local version of the astrology. But in the big picture, the problem with exposure and overexposure, and it's kind of the same thing to these highly advanced computation devices that are emulating and simulating human thought, is that they are cold. They are not thought. They have no mind in there. It is all computation. It is an illusion. And I realize that my voice coming to you through zeros and ones is a kind of illusion, but I assure you, I am sitting here at my desk in the Planet Waves office looking at an ancient air book with the screen filled with astrology charts and gesticulating and sitting up straight and tall, and you dig me? I'm really here. So at least I'm sending you a postcard from someplace I actually was, not someplace I actually wasn't, from somebody that never existed. And that is AI. And the problem deeper is that all those things that it is cold. It is calculated/calculating. It is in some ways faster than a person. It does not learn like a person. It is not a person. It is not thought. It is not feeling. It's not connected to a body. It's not born. It doesn't live, and it doesn't die. It doesn't care if the sun goes up or the sun goes down, or if the planet's a sphere or a pancake. It's just zeros and ones. And ever and on will be zeros and ones. And by exposing ourselves to it, we become like that. So I'll say this for the bazillionth time, or I guess as George W. Bush would say, the Brazilianth time, that we're becoming like it faster than it's becoming like us. And that, to me, is frightening, because we need each other. We need each other to be present. We need each other to be real. We need to be empathic for one another. We need to be sad when our friends are sad. We need to be happy when they're happy. And we need to resonate like human beings and exist in the world as people and not as programmable objects. Okay, so all that I cover in the article. I may be a little bit oblique about it. I don't know how. I haven't really read it back yet. I don't know how much I kind of drill in. I'm trying not to be too depressing, and I realize there's actually not a lot we can do about this. There's no turning things back. There's no getting anything prohibited. There's no safe AI. There's no ban. All we have is the ability to be aware, and to be ourselves, and to seek within ourselves, and to do the very, very best we can to remain present for our lives in the day we're living them, and creative and loving and concerned about the world, ourselves, and each other. So as for all this astrology, so today is like the local version. Like I'm talking about Chiron conjunct Eris. I'm talking about Saturn conjunct Neptune in Aries. All that going on in Aries. A lot going on in Aries. But today I want to talk about what is going on in Pisces and what is going on in Taurus a little bit later into the weekend, and then the Mars-Pluto opposition, part 3. So lots of backstory on this. I did a special edition that I will link to right at the top of the page. I think it was a Sunday night or Monday night, where I kind of prepped people for this week, where there's this kind of deep and potentially depressive moment that we're in right now, and then that kind of moves along a little bit, and then things get very frisky and dynamic, and instead of this grand conjunction that we're in now, we go into this polarization in fire and air, Mars and Pluto in an opposition. So let's talk about this bit in Pisces right now. It is super interesting, and after I signed off. Last time, I realized, I missed something really, really that I think is significant and beautiful about this. So what's going on is that there's a stellium happening in Pisces. It's not, you don't see that quite this way very often. And this grouping of planets that is within 7 degrees, starting at 20, a sign is 30 degrees, so 7 degrees is like a quarter of a sign. It's like less than, well, the full moon is supposed to be half a degree. So this is in a band of space that is narrower than the full moon. And then think the whole sky, the whole ecliptic goes around and around and around, like in 700 more little half-size the full moon slots. This is in half of that. The grouping includes, and it's exact right now as I speak, recording at 2:59:27 on the 24th. So Nessus, Centaur planet, not an asteroid, not a planet. It's a Centaur. Deep effect of the Chiron class of bodies, right mingled in with the Chiron myth. And Nessus is about accountability. It's where the buck stops, and the buck stops with you. Now, I don't know what you got in Pisces, 20 degrees Pisces, or anything like that, but the Nessus is big in this configuration right now. It's also the slowest moving point. So it's just going to be sitting there, and when everything else moves on, Nessus is still going to be there for like another 10 years. Okay, so Nessus in Pisces. The moon was just conjunct Nessus. Moon is in Pisces right now and will be for the next 16 hours after I finish. So it's at 3 o'clock. That's 3 a.m. Eastern time. That's 12. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 till tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock in the morning-ish Eastern time. The moon will be in Pisces. Now, right now, the moon is conjunct Ceres. That's been called a lot of different things. It's actually the biggest asteroid. It was named for Gaia, Earth Mother, the goddess of food and grains and agriculture. So Ceres is complicated, and I once read a book about the mythological Ceres, and the thing with the mythological Ceres, which kind of matched my experience of Ceres over the years, trying to figure it out. I mean, and I have figured out quite a few minor planets, and working with my friend Tracy Delaney, the editor of Serenu.com, who is an absolute genius delineator, we've come up with all kinds of cool stuff. Paloma Todd and I worked out Eris. She really brought the main insight into Eris. That's about postmodernism, and then I brought in all the McLuhan stuff. But anyway, Ceres is considered a dwarf planet. It's actually an asteroid. It's 1/3 of the mass of the entire inner asteroid belt. 1/3 of the mass. There's got to be 30, 40, 50, 1,000. It depends on how little you count asteroids, and 1/3 of it is Ceres, probably a planet that did not conglomerate. All that stuff there is not a planet that fell apart. It's a planet that didn't come together. And Ceres would have been the nucleus. Most likely it's nice and spherical. Anyway, so Ceres is complex. And it can, for example, through one long phase of the history of the Roman Republic, it was she was the kind of guardian of the plebes, of the people who were aspiring to have a better life. Not the nobility, not the upper crust, but the kind of ordinary folk. Okay. So, and then always associated with food, the root of the word cereal is Ceres. And then there's a very tragic story with Ceres and her daughter, Demetra or Demeter, and this is Greek. It's kind of very Greco-Romanish. And so we get with Ceres a history of the attachment, the bonding, and the grief between mothers and daughters. And right now the moon is exactly conjunct Ceres right now. How was your day with that? What's going on with your mom? What's going on with your mommy issues? What's up with this, right? So the moon is right there at 22.5 degrees of Pisces. It's moon, a maternal or child. Interesting thing about the moon is it can represent the child self, and then in the chart it often represents the mother. The mother is very influential in the life of the child. And for a while, they are the same being. So in this incarnation, we have, in this kind of moment, the moon, mother-child, Ceres, mother-child stories of incidents of mother-child separation and loss of various kinds, and the attachment that forms. Now, the other thing about Ceres, I think that's interesting, and I only learned this last year when I dusted off a book by an old astrologer named Al Morrison, and it's worth checking out his book. It's some kind of collected writings. It's emails and letters and transcribed lectures and articles in the Mountain Astrologer and things in his newsletter. He said, the thing to know about Ceres is that it is about mechanization. It's not hunting gathering. It's not wild food. It is grown, mechanized factory food, basically, which is kind of what agriculture is. I'm sure agriculture was much better than it is now 100 years ago. But it's the process. It is an industrialized process in some form, and this is a big part of the story of humans going from hunting gathering into basically being kind of agrarian and living in villages. God knows when that happened. Probably a lot longer ago than we think. Okay, so this is all going on now, and the news coming out about food, frankly, just gets worse and worse. I mean, if I read one more article about microplastics in food, I'm going to scream. I was kind of a smart kid, all right, like maybe a little above average. I was a good reader. But when my mother brought home soda bottles, and we didn't really drink that much soda, but one day, because she knew that it's basically like colored sugar water and it's not good for you, but she brought home a bottle of Pepsi or Coke. I think she was a Coke drinker, Coke one day, and it was in plastic. The new, improved, lightweight plastic bottle. I'm like, oh no. This is not going to be good. I could foresee basically the plastic getting everywhere. It doesn't go away. Glass is real nice. You can reuse it, or it goes back to being sand. Plastic, that doesn't go away. It just kind of gets smaller and smaller, small enough to get into your brain or your ovaries or your balls or wherever it might be. Okay, so that's a big, big problem involving the mechanization of food. But the good news is that since the 2020 crisis, people are waking up to the dangers of vaccines. They're waking up to the overall scam of Western medicine. And there's a lot better information about food that is going around. There are some real viewpoints. And there are 20 million belly fat videos on YouTube and reels on Facebook and all of that. But I think that one of the ways that the needle has moved since 2020, which even without the whole 2020 crisis, Operation COVID and all of that, would have been a profound year. But then, we're delivered this pestilence. We're delivered this grievous situation. But a good few people woke up. And I'm the one thing I'm actually happy about with COVID, please stick a lot of quotes around that word, is that more people than ever are questioning. And it's true that the ones who are not questioning seem to be more committed than ever to poisoning themselves and everybody else. But the ones who are questioning are questioning. And I do not mean health freedom presenters. I don't mean those dweeby, pasty nerds having 3-hour Zoom conversations that go on into the night where they're all calling each other investigative reporters. No. I'm talking about like Joe Blow, Jane Doe, the bus stop, in the bar. People are waking up to the problems with food and medicine. Okay, so that's it. That's all I've got to say about that. So meanwhile, then, this is all hanging around the North Node. So the North, Nessus is at 20 plus, the Moon at 22 plus, Ceres at 22 plus, the North Node at 26 plus. The node is stationary direct. It doesn't get the little RX next to it. Most days of the week, the node is retrograde. But a couple of days a week, I've never looked for how many hours, and I keep forgetting to check my old Raphael's Ephemerides pre-computer technology. The story that Rick Levine told me was that the people calculating the positions using hand-done mathematics prior to the advent of computers, and the Ephemerides were pretty darn good, done by hand, by mathematicians, okay? Using like the U.S. Naval Observatory's, basic equations and all of that. Well, what Rick Levine told me was that it wasn't until Mark, the book's on the shelf, the founder of Astro Computing Services, ACS, really the first people to computerize astrology, they applied the equation using a computer, and they found out sometime in the 60s or 70s that the lunar node is actually retrograde most of the time, but not all of the time. Oh, that's interesting. So what do we do with that? Well, what I have evolved to doing with it is, first of all, it's an unusual condition. It's a special condition. Second, I have read and experimented with the idea that it can represent a reversal of the meanings of the North and the South Node. Typically held to be South Node is attachments you're letting go of. The North Node is the unfamiliar territory that you're moving into. And it could be said a lot of different ways. You could say the South Node is kind of karmic. It represents the past and attachments to the past. The North Node is kind of dharmic. It represents unfamiliar experiences and a sense of commitment. I have the North Node rising. If you wonder why I'm so fucking intense, it's that every single day I'm living my life as if I am aiming my aiming my mind through this like slight opening in the universe and constantly having to adjust my course. And I have to do it when I'm awake and when I'm sleeping and when I'm walking around and when I'm at a party and at a concert and doing astrology and all that. The North Node is intense. The nodes are intense. And I have the North Node in retrograde motion, so it's in more or less normal conditions. So then I go. I was a kind of a fan of Sri Amritananda Mai, Amma, the hugging saint, the hugging Amma, and I'm not that hot on Vedic astrology, but there was a Vedic astrologer there, and I thought this is the person I want to talk to. This is. If I'm going to trust some honky with Vedic astrology, it's going to be the one that Amachi brings on tour. Okay, so turns out to be a conversant guy. I'm an astrologer, and we talk in astrology. And he says, look, the Western astrology basically doesn't understand that the nodes themselves represent attachment to the karmic wheel. The whole thing, the whole nodal axis, represents attachment to the physical plane. And in terms of Hindu mysticism, the goal is to not be attached to the physical plane. So he's like, well, in Vedic astrology, he said, we consider both nodes, the whole nodal axis, the dragon's head, the dragon's tail, to be malefic. I'm like, all right. So like a lot of things, I do what I call taking it under advisement. It means I don't buy it whole outright. I don't reject it. I don't think it's true. I don't think it's not true. It's just something that I've been advised is a possibility, and I pay attention to that possibility. It's a way of being a fair thinker. I'm talking a lot about my chart today. I've got my moon in Aquarius. I want to be a fair thinker. I want everybody to think I'm a fair thinker. My whole let's say ego matrix is based on the concept and the image of being a fair thinker. Okay, so we take what Amma's astrologer said under advisement. There it is. I've got it when I need it. Okay, so then I read the notes. But what Al Morrison said in that really, really cool book, I don't know the name of it, but there's only one book by Al Morrison in existence. As he said, one thing is for sure: when the lunar nodes are stationary direct, they are emphasized. They are louder. They are more prominent. They are in an unusual condition. Pay attention when the nodes are stationary direct, and they are now. And not only are they stationary direct, but today there will be a conjunction of the North Node, the Moon, Venus, and Saturn in Pisces together. So we've got planets on the node. Well, will be Venus and Saturn, luminary, the Moon, and the Moon's own node. The Moon crosses into North declination when it crosses its own North Node. Now, what I noticed after I said goodnight and good luck earlier in the week is, this is very maternal and feminine. We've got the Moon, that's maternal and feminine. We've got Ceres, that's pretty maternal and feminine. And anything in Pisces, but let's skip the node for a second. And then Venus in a conjunction right now, it's only 3 arc minutes away with Saturn. I consider Saturn to be a feminine concept. I consider Saturn to be the role of the mother in shaping the ego structure of the child when the child is like before 7 or 8 years old. The mother has a very important role in the family, in the life of the child, and in society, which is to form you might say, the responsibility structure, the personality structure of the child. This is why children need to be mothered. They need to be taken care of appropriately by a mom. And that means, in my view, for most of the time, before they are 7 or 8 years old. So we've got Saturn. I consider that to be a maternal influence. And by the way, Isabel Hickey, in the book Astrology, Cosmic Science, has a beautiful poem about Saturn, the kind of cosmic mother. Okay, and then Venus. So Venus more represents, the sexual aspect of a woman. I mean, and this is undeniable. I'm a little bit like Tiresias. I can kind of slip into femaleness and slip into maleness. And all I can say is that in my long journey of slipping into femaleness and slipping into maleness and, dancing around on that watery, earthy, fiery edge, there's something that's like really sexual about women. And it's a different kind of sexual. It's a different depth and degree and biological experience of than men. Women gestate us all into existence. I mean, this alone, I think, should be the starting point of any discussion of like what's a man and what's a woman. And regardless of how the female got pregnant, that's where the baby comes from. That's where the baby grows. So this is all grouped together in this kind of amazing cluster in the most feminine of the feminine signs, that is Pisces. So that's going on. All right, let's consider the Mars opposition to Pluto. All right, so that is going to happen on Saturday, and it's going to happen on Saturday a little bit ahead of the new moon. And the new moon is in Taurus, another very feminine sign, the sign that rules Venus, another lunar sign. That little crescent above the circle in Taurus, that can be the horns of the bull, or it can be the crescent of the moon. And the moon is exalted in Pisces. Sorry, the moon's exalted in Taurus. Venus, the ruler of Taurus, is exalted in Pisces. There's a lot of connections, kind of esoteric connections between Taurus and Pisces. As any Pisces who's ever met a Taurus knows, as any Taurus who's ever met a Pisces knows, there's just some earthy, watery chemistry between them, and the connection point between both is the moon and Venus. It can be very sweet, as long as everybody's on the up and up, and not not drinking too much and all that, and happy to be who they are. It's a very nice kind of grouping of energies. Okay, so this very different, though, very, very different story to have Mars opposite Pluto. That is a big dynamic. There's a lot of ego power in that Mars in Leo. And you want to use that with a real light touch, kind of like a welding iron. You don't want to turn that up too high. You don't want to burn through the thing you're trying to weld. So that is in a dynamic with Pluto. And Pluto is newly in Aquarius. We are still way at the beginning of getting used to and understanding Pluto in Aquarius. But this is one of the first big things to happen with Pluto in Aquarius now that the whole in and out of Capricorn is all done and all that stuff. And Pluto is in Aquarius, going to be there for about 18 more years, maybe 19 more years, is the Mars opposition. So what's that about? That is tense. I think it represents an event of some kind. So please try not to be shocked by anything that happens this weekend. And maybe it's all going to be copacetic, but we are in this bigger, crazier moment than we realize, and we are being driven by forces that we do not see, do not know, do not understand, and that, as far as I can tell, I read every article about the upheaval of society and digital technology and artificial intelligence that I possibly can, and I cannot find one person who is putting together this sense of complete and utter chaos that is benighted society in our times, a very, very different kind. And I mean, I have spent so much of my life following world events, just being fully present 12 hours a day for what's going on with world events. There's been no time like this where things that should get 3 months of news coverage get 3 days of news coverage. What is this? why the instability, the destabilization of culture and of intellect and of society itself and all of society's institutions. What's going on? Well, the bottom has fallen out of consciousness, and the bottom has fallen out of consciousness in the singular way of this rapid acceleration of synthetic and artificial thought. This is all going on. We're living through it. We're seeing it. We are seeing history in the making, and by history in the making, I mean, like, imagine if you could witness some of the stuff that went on in the Bible, right? Imagine if you were there when Moses parted the Red Sea or something like that. And then, like, they're still talking about it. How many? 4,000, 5,000 years later? When did Moses supposedly live? I think he was one of the pharaohs, by the way. Well, what we are seeing now is of cosmic and biblical proportions, and God only knows what's behind it. We don't really know what's behind it. The guys who are pushing it they're all themselves enslaved by the robot. They're all part of the robot. They're working for the robot. You can't trust a word they say, and they made this stuff up. These people are industrialists. This is not Da Vinci. This is not Mary Magdalene. This is industrialists. This is the biggest jerks, the greediest, most narrow-minded people on the planet who think that we are all like basically cockroaches, and we are not. But that gap in perception, that gap in like, well, what good are you really anyway? And then everyone's cheering Elon Musk for like making the government more efficient with his chainsaw. I mean, we're really, human race really. I mean, all right. There's a lot of dumbasses, but mostly I think that humans are highly intelligent beings who are abso-fucking-lutely beyond hope lazy thinkers. We have brilliant minds. We are lazy thinkers. We are like the most fabulous workshop and creative shop that everything just sort of sits there and no one comes in and like says, what could we do? Look at the material we have to work with. We can do anything we either want or can arrange on the physical plane if we muster up the creativity and the intelligence to do it. And what's going on down here? And most people don't want to think their way out of a paper bag. It's really, it has made me give up on certain kinds of wanting to make changes in the world. I mean, as you can see, I come to work every day, but I've got a very different view of what is possible and why bother than I did, say, for example, 20, 30 years ago. All right, so all this is concurrent with the Taurus new moon at 8 degrees of Taurus, 7 degrees and 47 minutes. And that is 1 month away from the major spring 2025 cluster, which involves the Gemini new moon, the conjunction of Chiron and Eris and Saturn going into Aries. By the way, I cover all of this in 2 fantastic, affordable, highly engaging readings that you will love. They're both 12-sign sets. One is called The Awakening. One is called For the Faithful, or Reckoning, and has 2 names. We're going to put them on sale together this weekend as soon as I can write the letter. And they're all available, single signs or groups of 2 or more, at the Astrology Boutique, astrology.boutique. And if you are despairing, if it is late at night and you are like wondering what the hell, if you need words of encouragement, if you need words of motivation, if you need to hear someone speaking who you think might actually understand something about what you're going through, please check out my work. I don't ever really like recommending my own work, but what can I say? I do it. I do it out of love and tremendous experience, and I put every bit of my talent and faith and ability and into it for you. And there it is, astrology.boutique. All right, we're leaving the horoscope open and the article open. No paywall on anything this week. I'm so sick of paywalls. I'm so tired of this. But I'm so grateful to the people who pay, who make sure that I can have my fish stew at the Chinese restaurant, that I can pay my team for this lovely microphone and internet connection and all that. So thank you to those who subscribe. And, you know we're here, and I'm here for you. All right, signing off. Went a little longer than planned. I'm going to let this Eno piece play out. So this podcast is not really going to be like 50 minutes, but this is a 30 minutes. This is like an 8-minute piece that you're listening to right now, and it is called Late Anthropocene from Music for Installations by Brian Eno, continuing to celebrate the birth season of Brian Eno. All right, signing off from Kingston, New York at 3:26 p.m. on the 24th of April. Lots of love, and bye for now.
Thank you.